Okay, we're now live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and welcome to everyone to this cabinet meeting on the 8th of April 2021. This virtual meeting may actually be the last virtual meeting we get to have for a while, but this virtual meeting is being live streamed as a public meeting. It will also be recorded and the subsequent recording made available via the council's website. In addition, under the Local Authorities Executive Arrangements, Meetings and Access to Information England Regulation 2012, other people may film, record, tweet, or blog from this meeting. The use of any such images or recordings is not under the council's control. Please note that members of the public viewing the meeting via the live stream can only see the person who is speaking, and also that it takes a second or two for Zoom to switch views. So when you're starting to speak, if you could just pause for a fraction of a second to allow the system to switch over. Participants should also ensure that their microphone is muted when they are not speaking, and that way we won't flip behind different screens, etc. If any background noise is picked up. First off, I'm going to ask cabinet members whether they can confirm verbally that they are present and that they can see and hear the proceedings. So I can see and hear. I'm going to go to Councillor Barclay. Councillor Barclay, can you see and hear?
Good evening, Leader. I can see and hear.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Bailey, can you see and hear?
Good evening, Leader. I can both see and hear proceedings.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Boker, are you there, Councillor?
Yes, good evening, Leader. I can see and hear.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Harper-Davies, can you hear and see?
Yeah, good evening, Leader. I can see and hear proceedings.
Thank you very much, Councillor Harper-Davies. So now we're on to Councillor Mercer. I can see you, Councillor Mercer. Can you see us?
I can see you, Leader, and I can hear everything as well.
Thank you very much. Councillor Poland.
Hello, Leader. I can see and hear, but not as well as I'd like because I'm just awful hearing. But yeah, I can see.
Thank you very much, Councillor Poland. Okay, Councillor Ratway, how about you?
Evening, Leader. I can see and hear the proceedings.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rollings.
Thank you, Leader. I can see and hear proceedings.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor. And then finally, bring up the rear, Councillor Smitherich. Are you there, Councillor?
Yes, Leader. I can see and hear the proceedings.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor. Right. We also have a few additional people who are attending the meeting. I'm going to go through all of those. We have our officer team. So I'm going to ask each of them to verbally confirm that they're here and that they can actually see and hear. So we're going to start off with Simon Jackson, who's our Strategic Director, Environmental and Corporate Services and Section 151 Officer. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, Leader. Thank you. I can see and hear proceedings.
Thank you very much, Simon. Next, we go to Adrian Ward. Adrian's our Head of Strategic Support and Monitoring Officer. Good evening, Adrian. How are you?
Very well, Leader. I can see and hear the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Next, we have Eileen Mallon. Eileen is our Strategic Director, Community Planning and Housing. Good evening, Eileen.
Evening, Leader. Yes, I can see and hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eileen. Next, it's Justin Henry, who's our Strategic Director, Commercial Development, Assets and Leisure. Good evening, Justin.
Good evening, Leader. Thank you. I can both see and hear.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And then also we have Richard Bennett, our Head of Planning and Regeneration. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening, Leader. I can see and hear proceedings.
You're slightly faint, Richard, but otherwise I can hear you, so that's okay. Finally, we've got Karen Widdowson, our Democratic Services Manager. Good evening, Karen.
Good evening. Yes, I can see and hear proceedings, and I'm live streaming with an excellent connection. Thank you.
Fantastic. There you go. And then finally, keeping us in order, Laura Strong, our Democratic Services Officer. Good evening, Laura. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Leader. I can see and hear proceedings.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. So finally, very last, saving the last for the best, or the best for last, Councillor Seaton, who's our Chair of Scrutiny Commission. Good evening, Councillor.
Good evening, Leader. I can both see and hear perfectly. Thank you very much.
That is fantastic. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you. So let's start the meeting. So item 1, apologies. We have no apologies. So we're moving on to item 2, disclosures of pecuniary and personal interests. So I'm going to pause for a fraction of a second. If anyone has any personal or pecuniary interest that they wish to raise, if you can use electronic hand to do so, that would be good. I can't see any hands going up. So in which case we're going to move on to item 3, which is the leaders' announcements. I haven't actually got any official announcements. The only thing I'd say is we have obviously spent the last 12 months using virtual streaming. There are possibly a couple more council meetings still to go before the deadline of 6th of May, when the official permission to virtual stream expires. I have to say, I think most committees within the council and also full council itself have actually found it quite a positive experience. We've probably had more people being able to actually access and watch the meetings than we have done normally. It would be a great shame to lose the possibility of being able to run virtual meetings in the future. I appreciate there is a court case still extant, which I understand from today that Secretary of State is actually supporting the court case himself. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. That may actually give us a bit more freedom in the future. But otherwise, this may be the last cabinet meeting that we stream in this format. But obviously, the more we know over the next few weeks, the better. So otherwise, we go on to item 4, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. So if I can ask cabinet colleagues to verbally confirm that they're content to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, that would be great. I can say that I'm content with the minutes. Councillor Barclay, how about you?
I'm content with the minutes, Leader.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bailey.
I'm content with the minutes, Leader.
Thank you very much. Councillor Boker.
Content with the minutes, Leader.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Harper Davies.
I'm content with the minutes, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mercer.
Content with the minutes, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Poland.
Content with the minutes, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ratway.
I'm content with the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rollings.
Yes, happy with the minutes, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smidovic.
Yes, happy with the minutes, Leader.
Excellent. Thank you very much to all of you. So those are confirmed as being approved. So we now move on to item 5, which is the questions under Cabinet Procedure 10.7. No questions have been submitted. So that means we can move on to the 2 items on the agenda this evening. Item 6, which is the local development scheme. There is a Scrutiny Commission report associated with this item. So I'm going to ask Councillor Seaton to present the Scrutiny Commission's views. And then if there are any questions of clarity that any cabinet members wish to ask Councillor Seaton, then they can do so before we actually start the discussion following that. We also have Richard Bennett, obviously, who's our Head of Planning and Regeneration, who can assist with any questions that we may have. So over to you, Councillor Seaton.
Well, thank you very much, Leader. I think this is going to be short, sharp and direct. The Commission, after being considering and asked a lot of questions on the report, we felt that the Cabinet should approve the recommendations as set out. I'm going to take it that you've read the minutes, sorry, not the minutes, but the high points of the meeting, and just take it as read, please. We're quite happy to support.
Thank you very much, Councillor Seaton. Can I ask whether any colleagues have any questions of clarity that they wish to ask Councillor Seaton and the Scrutiny Commission? Okay, I can't see any hands going up. So thank you very much, Councillor. Thank you again to Scrutiny Commission for looking at this item. I appreciate this is probably a short review because it was the only item I think on this evening's agenda that you could actually call in and look at. But thank you very much for your support and for reviewing and scrutinising the document. So with that, I'm going to ask colleagues whether they have any questions. I'm going to go over to Councillor Bailey to start off with to raise any points. Obviously, we are taking reports as read as usual, but if there are any points, Councillor Bailey, that you wish to bring up, please do.
Thank you, Leader. Just to point out that this is a statutory requirement that we update every year following the approval of budget at Council in March. And it just sets out the timetable on a 3-year rolling programme for the local plan preparation. And there's not much else to say really than the report's pretty straightforward in its manner.
Thank you very much. Richard Bennett, you're obviously here to support us. I mean, obviously, this is a statutory document, as Councillor Bailey set out. It is pretty straightforward, but are there any additional points that you wish to raise?
Through you, Leader. I don't think so. It is, as Councillor Bailey says, it's quite a perfunctory document that we have to prepare. It gives the public an understanding of when the local plan is going to move through its various different milestones. So it's helpful from that perspective. It's one of the things that the inspector looks for when we get to examination to show that we've followed the right process. And it's also helpful for members to see the resources that go into the local plan and the assumptions around its preparation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's extremely clear. Are there any questions that anyone wishes to raise? It is a pretty straightforward document. I can see a non-virtual hand from Councillor Boker.
Thank you, Leader. Just because there is probably some public watching this cabinet, it might be worth either Councillor Bailey or Richard Bennett just pointing out the main milestones in the plan's journey.
Okay, is that something that Richard Bennett, you could possibly just flag? Obviously, we've got 3 milestones. One in the report. One is to do with the sort of council meeting coming up in a few months' time. Next is the consultation period, and then ahead of submission, and then hopefully the approval by the inspector, and then final adoption. So, is it possible to set out those dates?
Yes, thank you, Leader. So, as you said, the intention is to bring a report to Cabinet and then Council in July, and then to publish the final version of the plan for consultation in July through to August for a statutory period of 6 weeks before it is then submitted to the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State will appoint an inspector to undertake the inspection. So the submission itself will happen in October 2021. And then there'll be the examination, which actually takes some time. The inspection starts the moment you submit, and it lasts right up until the inspector's report is published, which is expected in September 2022. Once we've received that, we will then come back to Council to seek the adoption of the local plan, and that's October 2022.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. Helpful program. Okay, are there any other points? Nope. Okay, that's great. So look, can I ask Councillor Bailey to make the recommendation?
Thank you, Leader. I move that recommendations 1 to 3 for reasons 1 to 3 on page 9 of the agenda be approved.
I'm happy to second that, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Barclay. So I'm now going to ask everyone whether they are happy to support, whether they're for the proposal. I can say I am for. Councillor Barclay.
For.
Councillor Bailey.
For.
Councillor Boker.
For.
Councillor Harper-Davies.
For.
Councillor Mercer.
For.
Councillor Poland.
For.
Councillor Ratway.
For.
Councillor Rollings.
For.
And then finally, Councillor Sminovich.
For, Leader.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's everyone in favour. So that item is confirmed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much also to Councillor Seaton for the Scrutiny Commission's report. So we now move on to the second item on the agenda, item 7, which is the review of the Constitution. We have here with us this evening Karen Wooderson, who's our Democratic Services Manager, to assist, and also I don't know whether obviously we've got various officers as well who, if there are detailed points on any of the items that come up, then hopefully they can actually support Karen as well. But again, likewise, if we can take the item as read, but if I can ask Councillor Sminovich if you'd like to raise any particular points that you think are pertinent, and then we can go on to the discussion and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. The annual review of the Constitution has taken place and 6 items are outlined with proposed amendments for your consideration and approval this evening. So in summary, consultation has been undertaken with members and officers and include increasing the tenant leaseholder representation from 4 to 6 of the Housing Management Board to ensure that the committee is quorate and to have a wider range of points of view on the board. Chapter 12 of the Constitution relates to public speaking rights and speaker types to ensure there is fair representation. Some changes to the wording in Chapter 16 of the Constitution is proposed and relates to financial regulations. There are 2 items relating to the scheme of delegation to officers in respect of council functions, and these are involving the head of planning and regeneration and the head of strategic and private sector housing. And then some final word changes in Chapter 11 of the Constitution. So that summary, Leader.
That's a pretty clear summary. Thank you very much.
Can we leave now?
That's great. Thank you very much for that. Karen, are there any additional points that you want to raise before we go on to any questions? We've got a few hands going up, so we'll move on to them swiftly. But Karen, are there any other points that you wish to raise?
No, I think that was a very succinct summary of the report. So thank you. I've got nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we've got a couple of questions initially. So Councillor Mercer.
Thank you, Leader. Karen, a couple of points. One, something that you've explained to me is that the Constitution itself wasn't written from scratch, that it's a legacy document. And do you think there's case perhaps next year for being a little bit more rigorous in going through to making sure that it does actually fit in with Charnwood? For instance, we're told under 8.5 that we don't have a leader, we have an executive leader, and we should address him as such. And I'm sure he'd appreciate being addressed as the executive leader. But just to iron out those little idiosyncrasies. And secondly, again, it doesn't relate to the review, but in the document that was circulated, it repeats the section 33 on high hedges. And I would be, and I think all of Cabinet would be fascinated to know why councillors and council employees are exempt from either complaining about high hedges or actually having high hedges. I'm sure it's covered somewhere else, but I couldn't find it. So is there an explanation for that particular clause?
Okay, thank you. Through you, Leader. So firstly, with the first point you make, yes, you are correct that the document is based on a model code, the model constitution that was formulated back in 2000. And so there would be references, for example, to the executive leader as opposed to how we commonly refer to the leader as the leader. So yes, in future reviews, we can try and iron out such wording as that. So thank you for highlighting that. And then in respect of the high hedges, whilst that's not one of the changes highlighted this evening that's come forward, I can explain that the matter, so this is where when there's any issues regarding complaints with high hedges, if it's on council land or it's land occupied by a councillor or council employee, or where the complainant is a councillor or a council employee, the matter actually goes to the plans committee and it would be considered there as opposed to being determined by the head of planning and regeneration. So hopefully that explains that query you've got there. Thank you.
Could I just say, would it make sense again, perhaps next year, just to amend that slightly to give that explanation? Because any member of the public, should they ever decide to read the Constitution, may conclude that councillors are protecting themselves.
Okay, well, I can certainly pick that up. It is certainly more for transparency that that matter would go to the plans committee. So I can put a note for future reference. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Poland.
Thank you, Executive Leader. Just a question on the HMAB. I was at the meeting when it was discussed about getting an additional member for that, and the reasons for that are all in the document, quite clear there. We're obviously going through the selection at the moment for new members of the HMAB. So assuming we pass this tonight, will this 6 members be the ones selected this time? Or will it, I guess will it come in instantly is my question, and therefore the selection that's going on at the moment for HMAB will be selecting 6 people, or do we have to wait 3 years for the next round of selection?
Okay, so what's happening is that the additional 2 members, plus I understand there is 1 member whose term of office has come to an end, so there's actually a recruitment for providing this goes through this evening, there'll be a recruitment for 3 tenants stroke leaseholders. And so because there is a term of office that they expire, and we have a list of when they expire, so there's actually 3 positions that will be advertised and then interviews conducted, so they'll commence from the new civic year.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think that's probably the end of questions as far as I can see. And just to correct, it's not Executive Leader, Councillor Poland, it's Dear Leader.
Yes. I thought it was Great Leader.
That's fine as well. That's fine as well. Look, thank you very much. Those items, obviously, we're just about to take a vote on them, but they obviously this is an item for council to resolve. So what we're doing this evening is to agree to pass this on to council for discussion and debate there. But if I can pass back to Councillor Smitovich so you can make a recommendation, and then I'm going to ask Councillor Poland to second, if that's okay.
Thank you, Leader. So I therefore move that it be recommended to council that the changes to the constitution set out in Appendix 1 of the report are made effective from the 1st of May 2021 for the reason to ensure the Constitution is kept up to date and fulfills its intended purpose. Thank you.
I'm very happy to second.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to ask each members of Cabinet to say whether they are for the proposal. To start off with, so I am for the proposal. Councillor Berkeley.
For the proposal, Leader.
Councillor Bailey.
For, Leader.
Councillor Boker.
For, Leader.
Councillor Harper-Davies.
For, Leader.
Councillor Mercer.
For, Leader.
Councillor Poland.
For, Leader.
Councillor Ratway.
For, Leader.
Councillor Rawlings.
For, Leader.
Councillor Smitovich.
For, Leader.
Thank you very much. That's everyone. So that item is confirmed. Thank you to everyone who's been able to attend this evening's Cabinet. Quite a brief one, but 2 interesting points that are very relevant to the future of our borough and also the way that the council operates. So thank you very much for all of those who have participated. Thank you also to the officers who have supported and participated. So I'm going to wish you good night and look forward to seeing you.